The cozy morning bed where they both slept in each other's embrace last night. Now one of them was no longer there. She was the one wrapping her hands around the sheets, with no other presence beside her. Not so soon, her deep slumber cracked up as she started opening her eyes, slowly trying to adjust her view. Waking up to an empty bed when he was clearly in my arms last night, I looked at everywhere only to find myself all alone in the room. Pushing the sheets aside, I went towards the bathroom, hoping to find him there, but it went in vain as he was nowhere to be seen. Breathing heavily, there plastered a relieved smile on her face. After running through the whole house, there he was sleeping in that room like a lost soul, but still managed to look ethereal. Her steps eventually went towards the bed as she placed her hand on his forehead, trying to check his temperature. It must be so difficult for you. She couldn't help herself. Covering his shirtless body with the sheets, she caressed his cheek fondly, and as always, he melted by her touch, snuggled his face more in her hand, snatching all the warmth. Tilting her head, she noticed, sadly looking at his waist covered with the sheets now. Though bleeding stopped, but it needed to be dressed again. But how? She knew calling a doctor here was not a smart move. What if those people got to know about him through that doctor? Thinking for some good minutes, a thought crossed her mind as she smiled, hoping for it to work. Just if you'll not create any nuisance and will stop being stubborn, then it'll work for sure. Her smile vanished in a blink as she remembered that she needed to prepare the breakfast for him real quick. Last night she wanted him to eat, but he was not ready to leave her even for a second. Sighing, she sadly smiled, looking at him. Sleep peacefully for some more time. I'll be back to you quickly. Went towards the door and before closing it, gave him one last glance. Deep inside, I felt a little uneasy. I was scared. How will he react once he'll wake up? I don't want him to push me away again. The only thing I want is him. I don't want to see him breaking down all on his own. Taking the car, she went out to buy the vegetables and all other necessary ingredients. She was unsure that whether she should leave him alone like this or not, so she tried her best to be quick with everything. After coming back, a refreshing warm shower made her feel alive again. It smells good, looks good, and most of all tastes good too. Perfect for him. The stove turned off as she covered the food with the lid. It's good he's asleep till now. Everything is done with perfection. No time to wake him up. That sweet smile never left her face as she picked up one tray in her hand and went to him. Getting her steps inside, instantly a low chuckle left her mouth. He was still asleep, but the duvet she covered him with was now over his face too. He was under that duvet, not to be seen at all, which made her adore him. Going towards his side of the bed, she kept the tray aside carefully and diverted her gaze towards him. Slowly getting the hold on the sheets, she pulled it down to see his face, and that's when her hand stopped in the middle. I was lost. That's how it was. So I missed this view today. Just if he never left the bed, I would be seeing this heavenly view. This cruel world tried their best to make you like them, but I know you are still there. You are not like them. It must be hard for you, right? How can everyone leave you alone? But you can never be alone now, because I'm not just anyone. I'm someone who loves you. I promise to give you all the love you missed your whole life. I can never leave you. Just if he could hear every single thing she said, but poor guy was still sleeping soundlessly. She looked at him for some good seconds, and then something that never happened before. A small action that she did unknowingly, but felt every single second of that moment clearly. Slowly bending down, her lips landed on his cheek with her eyes closed. Her lips stayed there, not planning to get back. His face, it was so soft, and on top, I never knew he would look this cute one day, just if this human could see himself, but I'll make him look from my eyes. I was feeling that tingling sensation in my whole body all the time. I backed off and smiled when I looked at him so closely. Was that okay to do without his consent? Looking at him with tiny bit of sadness filled eyes, she shrugged her thoughts. After seeing you having such a good sleep, I don't want to wake you up, but you need to eat something now. Slowly tapping his shoulder, she said in the sweetest voice ever. His eyes slightly squeezed while he took his one hand out of the sheets. You have to wake up now. Aren't you hungry? Breakfast is ready. I was wide awake when I heard my name from her mouth, but didn't know whether I should face her or not. Why it's so confusing suddenly. What my heart wants. Why it was difficult for him to get his own emotions. Maybe it was all clear, but it's just he didn't want to understand. Indeed, he was perplexed with his thoughts. but couldn't deny the calmness he felt knowing that she's still there by his side. He had no idea, but deep inside. 10 in the morning, he opened his eyes, but for him, it was always night. She was her moon in the night. Probably a lightless moon, but instead of being in the sky, the moon was there walking side by side with him. What if he couldn't see the moon, but moon made sure that he could feel its presence? Why are you in such hurry? Don't you know how to be careful? He was sitting there without uttering a single word, making her look at him while frowning. She noticed the expressions on his face. They were kind of new for her. Looks like he wanted to say something, but couldn't really frame it. Tilting her head, she called his name. What? That one word came out of his mouth. He didn't look mad, but it was not normal either. Huh? Nothing. I made tea for you. You don't like coffee, so have some tea. My eyes popped out. He's not having fever anymore. Then what is it? I thought now he'll shout at me or will be so mad, but this is something new. Where is it? Oh, yes, here. Turning towards the cabinet, she grabbed the cup, holding it in his direction, biting her lip as she thought he'll take it from her, almost forgetting he can't see. Nonetheless, she smiled. Will you be able to have it on your own? Because of how weak he is? As far as I remember, my hands are all fine. Yes, yes, give me your hand, without any further question. She was so careful with me. She is always so careful with me. You still didn't answer my question. Why you are doing all this? Why are you like this? Is this anything bothering you? Why don't you... Didn't I told you to eat in your room only? She said, looking at him, struggling sitting on the chair. Don't pay attention to me. Focus on your food. Okay, leave it. Tell me how's it? Spicy, but I barely add spices in it, as you should eat bland food for now. He didn't say anything, still having his food like an obedient child. Okay, I'll make sure to be extra careful now. Tell me in general, you eat spicy food? No. Okay, noted. Stopped eating and lifted his head up. Don't be mad now, I'll just clean you up and... I've wrapped the cloth around it, I can shower now. What's with that logic? Please listen to me once, you're not healed complete... Called out his name full of concern and getting up from her seat, ran towards him. See, don't make me repeat myself now. It'll be more painful for you. Why don't you listen to me? He poked his cheek while her hands were wrapped around his shoulders, supporting his body. That don't make me repeat myself. It'll be more... What did you call me? This is not the first time I called you this. Then why? I just heard it carefully today. Why you called me that? Where? I can't call you that? I want to hear this more often, but remember, only you can call me by this name. His head was turned towards her direction. She was the one lost in his grey orbs when he said that. Didn't know what exactly he meant by that, but butterflies built up in her stomach. I'm wrapping this cloth around it for now, but this is not looking good to me. What if it'll get infected? Don't worry, nothing will happen. This is nothing. I've been through more than this. That's why I don't want you to suffer more. Never. Why? After thinking for a while, finally something came out of his mouth. She stopped at whatever she was doing and lifted her head up, only to meet his dark dull eyes looking at her. Their faces were so close that if he or she moved a little, she gulped because of how dangerously close they were. When I came this close to him, I could feel his slow breathing over my lips, making me anxious. I tilted my head when I didn't get her reply, but the next moment I heard her heavy breathing sound. I failed to sense her presence at first, but then there I felt firm breath over my face, or I should say on my lips. Is she this close to me? What is this feeling? Not knowing how recklessly close they were, he tried to move forward, making her heart explode and eyes ripped apart. Faster than flash, she moved back with her heart almost coming out of her chest. What? Don't talk. Let me tie this up first. I know you don't care, but I do, so shut up. That's what I'm asking. Why you care? Again there was an uncomfortable pause, her being unsure of what to say next while his ears were waiting to hear her voice. Isn't it obvious you are hurt and you need someone to take care of you? So I'm doing that. If it was not me or any other person, he would be doing the same. Didn't I tell you earlier that no one cared for me before? Not knowing what to say next, she took her hand forward, grabbing his sweatshirt from the side. It's so cold outside. Do you want to get sick again? Wear your sweatshirt fast. I will rip this cloth apart that you have tied on my waist. You better not touch that even for once. raising his hand high as his left his mouth. I told you to not do that. Do you even know what will happen if your wound will open again? Slowly grabbing his arms, she pulled them down a little and made him wear that sweatshirt carefully. He went quiet for a while and then said, Okay then, I'll tell you. Then tell me why. Low chuckle left her mouth. She glanced at his messy hair coming all over his eyes. Slowly touching his forehead with her fingers, she removed his hair aside and laughed a bit as it seemed like an open curtain. I was patiently waiting for her to continue, but instead felt her soft touch. She was doing something with my hair and was chuckling by herself. Everything felt so soothing. Are you a child? So stubborn. You don't tell me anything and you expect me to tell you everything in one go. Child, do you even... I know. He sensed her leaving the bed. Where are you going? Huh? Am I going somewhere? Just tell me what you want. Nothing. Then you should sleep. Oh, so Mr. Kim Taehyung, the so-called dangerous mafia, the beast, is suddenly so concerned about me? Why so? It's just I'm tired these days. You wait till I get better, then you are dead. This is the first time ever I heard her laughing like that. She sounds so happy. Is she happy because of me? But why it matters to me? If she's happy because of me, why my heart feels elated too? So clever of you. Stop changing the topic now and sleep. I'll go and freshen up. Don't go anywhere. You are not allowed to leave the house. The blinds were rolled down already, blocking the slight rays of sun entering the room. She checked if the huge window of the room was locked and then swiftly went to the bathroom. I found this car collection when I went to get some veggies in the morning, but right now I need a car. A SUV will work. I didn't want to waste more time. I went inside to search for the car I wanted. Thankfully, I knew where all the keys were and how it worked. It's easy access now to get the car out. But boss, we did got the lead. That man was trembling while looking down, as he was well known to the fact that the person in front could be the reason of his last and final breath. And what's that? We got their halfway location. What's halfway? Because they are out of range, so we got their last location around. Mo? This is already so far from here. And was he recovered? We did saw him moving around. How she managed to take him this far. We are working on it, boss. Believe us, we'll get you the location soon. Apart from this, what about her father? We did saw him at his death, but his death is not his concern. He seems unbothered about it. And his reaction about her is really confusing. We don't know whether he's sad or not. Once her father will know the truth, that's the end of everything. That man didn't dare to utter any word without his order. Leave. Next time, do think twice before coming to me. I want their exact location. Yes, boss. Hours passed, and he was unaware of the loneliness of that moment. The sun was about to vacate, as the room became more darker now, but for him, does it even matters? He turned in his sleep only to groan, as his wound was pressed on the sheets a little too hard. Exhaling. The silence was not usual. It was way too quiet. That was eating me out. Even after knowing there was no one beside me, I still scattered my arms around searching. I was hoping for her to be there, but she was not. Frown eventually took over his face, making him get up real quick. Again trying to control his pain, he just stood straight and moved forward. Every time he was calling her name in hope that now she'll answer and will come to him, but why she was not coming? Where is she? Is she even here? Is she fine? These were the thoughts crossing his mind. Letting out a heavy sigh, he didn't stop searching for her, and suddenly his pace increased, caring about nothing, not even his wound. He trying his best to sense her presence, but it was drop dead silence in the house. Nothing seemed suspicious to him. Everything was in its original place, but just she was not there. He was turning his head in every direction, though he couldn't see, but that was some natural movements, just if those grey orbs could see the world around him. His steps slowed eventually as he went towards the bed, spreading his arms around hoping to find her there, but nothing came to his hand except the duvet. A trembling gasp left his mouth. Still he said, he was running around the whole place. By now his breathing became uneven. Now the fear in him arose. He knew she was not there, still called out her name. Sometimes that 1% hope is all one need, and that hope was still in him. I don't know why I was craving for her this much, but I needed her. Why it hurts. It hurts thinking about that. What if she left? But she said she'll be there with me. Then why she's not there anymore? I told her to not go anywhere. No, no. I know you are here. With his heavy breathing, he came to the backside and was continuously turning his head here and there while looking down all the time. He chuckled, but it was not normal. He was broken. His misery was filled in that chuckle.